Dobrý den, welcome to our new lesson. In today's video we're gonna talk about time. I'll show you several ways to express time, how to express the precise time and how to say the approximate time. That is what the native speakers usually say. If you're a beginner, please do not memorize everything at once. Focus on those forms that you think are the easiest for you. And I'll also point out which of those expressions are suitable for a beginner. Tak a už je čas mluvit o čase. And it's time to talk about the time. Jdeme na to. Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka, kde vám pomocí angličtiny vysvětluju českou gramatiku. Imagine it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 p.m. In the Czech Republic, we like to use the 24-hour system. So instead of writing 4 p.m., we would write 16. In another video, I mentioned how this works. If you're not familiar with this system and you see this digital time that has numbers higher than 12 and you don't know how to deal with this, you simply subtract 12. So for example, here 16 minus 12 is 4. Here you can see more. However, in this video, I'm not going to talk about this difference. I want to show you different ways of telling the time. So, when it's 4 p.m. in Czech, we could be precise and we could say the digital time. Je 16 hodin. Je 16 hodin, which means it's 16 hours. You would use this if you need to be precise. For example, you could hear this on the radio. They would say je 16 hodin. Or when you talk about a schedule, vlak přijede v 16 hodin. The train will arrive at 1600. If you're into grammar, hodin is the genitive case. This is the form that we use when we talk about a quantity of 5 and more. Hodina is an hour and hodin is of hours. We could also say jsou 4 hodiny or jsou 4, which means it's 4. If you want to make sure that it's in the afternoon, if the other person is on the other side of the world, maybe, you want to make sure that they know it's the afternoon, it's not at night, you could add odpoledne, which is afternoon. But when someone asks you what time is it and that person is right next to you or in the same time zone, that you don't have to use this. You can also notice that here we actually used hodiny because we are saying it is for hours and also the verb is in plural. Jsou 4 hodiny. So you can say jsou 4 hodiny or jsou 4 hodiny odpoledne. When the clock strikes 4 o'clock exactly, or 5 or 3, and it's exactly 1 full hour, we could also say je celá. This is something really common among Czech speakers. Je celá means it is a whole hour. We could add je celá hodina. But we don't say this. We never say je celá hodina. We just say je celá. Je celá. You look at your watch and say, je celá. This is assuming that the person who you're talking to knows that it was going to be 4 o'clock at some point, and now you say it's actually exactly 4. And again, you can use it for any exact hour. It could be 1 a.m. and you say je celá. If you're a beginner, I would recommend that you learn this phrase, je 16 hodin. You just look at the digital time and you read it as it is. You don't even have to remember hodin, you can just say je 16. Okay, here it's getting interesting. 4:05. We have a lot of options. Please don't get scared. I'm just giving you all kinds of options that we can say and you pick whichever you like, or maybe you've heard some and then you didn't understand what is it that you heard. So I'm going to show you. We can say the precise time and say je 16:05 using the 24-hour system. It is 16:05. 16:05. Again, you could hear this on the radio or when you say what time something starts, what time the bus leaves, etc. You could also hear je 16 hodin a 5 minut. It's 16 hours and 5 minutes. You can leave out a, actually. You can say je 16 hodin 5 minut. Je 16 hodin 5 minut. Very typical on the radio too. If someone asks you for the time, you can say that, but it sounds very precise. You could also use the 12-hour system and say jsou 4 hodiny a 5 minut, which is the same thing, but instead of 16 hodin, you say 4 hodiny, and we talked about this difference. Jsou 4 hodiny a 5 minut. You can also leave out the connector a again. Jsou 4 hodiny 5 minut. You could say jsou 4:05. Since we don't say the word hodiny, 4 hodiny, it's also common to actually say je 4:05. It doesn't correspond to the grammar here, but it's also really common. Actually, I would say this if someone asks me, hey, what time is it? And I look at the clock and I see this time, I would say je 4:05. I could also say je 5 minut po čtvrté, 5 minutes after the 4th hour, po čtvrté, je 5 minut po čtvrté. This refers to the word hodině. So we're saying it is 5 minutes after the 4th. Čtvrté comes from the number čtvrtý, the ordinal number, the 4th. Čtvrté hodině, after the 4th hour. If you're starting with Czech, you can stick with this one, 16:05. It is easy for you and very clear for the other people. Je 16:15. Je 16:15. Nebo je 16 hodin 15 minut. Very easy. And now the interesting thing is, we could also say, in a way, like 4:15. In Czech, we would say je 4:45. Je 4:45, meaning it's quarter going towards 5 o'clock. A very interesting way of saying this. Čtvrt. It's a very interesting word. Čtvrt. Just like čtvrtek, Thursday. Čtvrt is a quarter. So 15 minutes, quarter. 4:45. So imagine this is the clock. So this is 1/4. So imagine that we want to say that quarter of an hour has passed to approach the full hour, which would be 5 o'clock this time. I still don't understand how it works grammatically. have been trying to figure it out. You can think of it as this. A quarter of an hour has been added towards 5 o'clock. Je 4:45. You could think that with this time, 4:25, in Czech we would just say one or two options. 4:25 or 16:25, but no. We have our ways to make this sound more colloquial. Je 16:25. It is 16:25. Je 16:25. Clear and easy. You could add je 16 hodin 25 minut, but it's not necessary. You would hear this on the radio though. And here is the interesting thing. We could say also je za 5:30. Or you can even leave out this, and if again we know it is almost going to be 4:30, we could say je za 5:30. So you know, it's gonna be half of this hour. The interesting thing is, in English you say 4:30. In Czech we say it's half of the 5th hour. 4:30. This is the genitive case of the form pátá. Pátá means the 5th hour, pátá hodina, the 5th. And then this would be the genitive case because it's half of the 5th hour. Really strange, I know. So literally this is in 5 minutes, which we don't have to say, it will be half of the 5th hour. Za 5 minut. And also something really common that everybody says, za 5:30. Instead of půl, we just say půla. Je za 5:30. It's gonna be half in 5 minutes. But this is again assuming that you know that it's sometime between 4 and 5. 4:30. 16:30. Easy. Je 16:30. It is 16:30. But if we don't feel the need to be precise, we would just say je 4:30. This is the colloquial form and the equivalent of 4:30. Except, like I told you before, we're going to say it is half of the 5th hour. 4:30. Half of the 5th hour. which is not here, but it would be půl páté hodiny. Nobody says that, but this would be the rest of the sentence if you wanted to understand what's going on here. Genitive case. And like I told you also before, many people would also say je půla if you know that it's sometimes between 4 and 5 p.m. And again, if you're a beginner, go for this one. Je 16:30. Just learn the numbers from 1 to 60 and you'll be fine. Je 16:35. This is the clearest, the easiest way, assuming that you can count to 59 in Czech. Je 16:35. The colloquial way would be je půla pět. Půl a pět, and when we say it quickly, it sounds like půl a pět. Je půl a pět. Je půl a pět minut. We can add it. Nobody really says that. Je půl a pět. Those of you with a good eye might have noticed that I forgot something here. Now it's all correct. Je 5 minut po půl páté. Je 5 minut po půl páté. It is 5 minutes after 4:30. And again, remember that we would say in Czech, half of the 5th hour. This is a hybrid between precise time and a colloquial form. It's an interesting way of saying this. It's also common, and you can also hear this on the radio. 5 minut, this is the genitive plural. Po půl páté, this is the locative. Po páté, after the 5th hour. We already saw that previously. 4:40 je 16:40. 16:40 je 16:40. We could also say je za 20 minut 5 hodin. If we include these words minut and hodin, it would be quite proper. It is in 20 minutes 5 o'clock. Typically we would just say this without the words in parentheses. We would just say je za 25. Je za 25. It is 5:20. By the way, this would be the accusative case. This is genitive and this is genitive, but you don't have to worry about that. Just for your information. Je 16:45. Easy. 16:45. Colloquially, we would also say je 3/4. 3/4, 3/4 for 5. That's literally, but it corresponds to the English 4:45. Something like 3/4 are added for the 5 o'clock. Je 3/4. Na 5. This is the accusative case. Or we could also say je za 4:45. Or leave out hodiny and just say je za 4:45. Which means in quarter of an hour it's 5. Makes more sense, right? Za čtvrt. This is the accusative case. This is the genitive case. In quarter of an hour, it's 5. It's finally going to be 5 p.m. Je 16:55. Je 16:55. Another option is je za 5 minut 5 hodin. And again, these words in parentheses are not typically said, maybe on the radio, but I would just say je za 5:5. Je za 5:5. It is 5 in 5. Literally, it is in 5 minutes 5 o'clock. Za 5 minut, the accusative case, the genitive plural, and here genitive plural too. And remember, we use the word celá for a full hour. We could use it here and say je za 5 celá. Za 5 minut celá. It is a full hour in 5. Je za 5 celá. It's pretty much the same in every language. Every language is creative. And then you have some regional differences, and so it is in Czech. I'm sure there are plenty of other options that you might have heard, and I didn't include them here. I included the ones that I'm familiar with and I hear often. I want to go back to the basics related to the colloquial way of telling the time. If you're more advanced, you can pause the video and think about how to tell the time in this way, using the word quarter and half. Čtvrt a půl. Čtvrt a půl. I bet you missed this board. I did, because writing everything in the video editor is exhausting, and also the program sometimes crashes when it has too much text. how would you say this? We would say quarter towards 2 p.m. Je 1:45. 1:45. What about here? Je 1:30. Half of the second hour. Remember, slices the hour in half and then we use the ordinal number. Je 1:30. Here we would say 3/4 towards 2 p.m. 3/4. 3/4. And here je 8:45. Following hour. Je 8:30. Half of the 9th hour. Je 3/4. So this is what I want to leave you with. When telling the time in Czech, in the colloquial way, we always look ahead. We look in the future and we relate to the next hour always. We talk about 2 p.m. here. So we say 2 or 2. And here we say na 9 or 9. By the way, if you want to practice numbers, you can watch some of my older videos. One of my first videos, actually, and I think I'm wearing the same shirt. That was not my intention, but it's funny. And as always, I'll be looking forward to your comments. Maybe you want to share your experience on how someone told you the time and you had no idea what it was. Maybe you've heard of other ways of telling the time. Let me know. If you would like to learn with my ebooks, don't forget to check what I offer. Děkuji, že jste se dívali. Thank you for watching. Mějte se krásně a uvidíme se příští týden. Have a good day and I'll see you next week. Ciao, ciao.